Hello MotoGP fans, welcome back to ZNGP Today. Marc Márquez took third place at the Japanese MotoGP, capping off a weekend of intense racing at Motegi. While Marquez continues to extract the maximum from his GP23, he candidly shared the challenges he faced during the race and his thoughts on the evolving nature of the sport. Jorge Martín, the current leader of the 2024 MotoGP Championship, recently opened up about the pressure and anxiety he's faced throughout his racing career. The Spaniard shared his experiences and how he manages the mental challenges that come with competing at the highest level of motorsport. The MotoGP title race is heating up as Francesco, Banaya and Jorge Martín, the top two contenders for the 2024 World Championship, jokingly agreed to arrive tied on points for the final race of the season in Valencia. However, both riders later had second thoughts about this playful pact as they head into the decisive final rounds. KTM has seen a resurgence in their MotoGP performance during the latter half of the 2024 season, and test rider Dani Pedrosa credits this turnaround to radical changes made to the bike. Speaking on Jorge Lorenzo's podcast, Pedrosa highlighted how these updates have propelled KTM back into contention for podiums, with rookie Pedro Acosta leading the charge. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Starting from 9th on the grid after narrowly missing a better qualifying position, Marquez had to fight his way back to the podium. Despite the obstacles, including a fierce battle with Enea Bastianini, he was able to secure third place. However, his hope for the 2024 world title is now fading, as rivals Jorge Martín and Pecco Banaya lead the charge. We had a good comeback, a good first lap. Martin had a better start, as did Miller, but we were there, recovering a lot of positions. When I got to third, they were already too far. I tried to push and attack, but I went wide at turn 1 and lost time. From there, I had to focus on controlling Bastianini, who was super fast. But I felt good, we started far from those two guys, and finished much closer, so we're on the right track. Quote from Marquez. Despite finishing behind Banaya and Martín, Marquez found some positives in the weekend. He was the fastest rider on the track in the closing stages, especially with pressure from Bastianini in the final laps. However, he expressed some frustration with the tire performance, which varied from previous races. It's very positive. I was very fast on the soft tire this weekend, especially for time attacks, but had more trouble with the medium rear tire. In other races, it was the opposite. We need to understand why that happened. On a lighter note, Marquez shared his admiration for newly crowned Moto3 world champion David Alonso. He emphasized Alonso's talent and potential, predicting a bright future for the young rider. I am in love with David, laughs. He's super talented, has his feet on the ground, and has charisma. I think he will be a great champion in MotoGP, but he needs time. Next year, he'll make mistakes in Moto2, but we shouldn't put too much pressure on him, Marquez told by Paddock GP. When asked about the braking difficulties at the Motegi circuit, Marquez didn't hold back. He described the braking issues as a nightmare, particularly since the Misano GP, and pointed to the challenges posed by modern MotoGP aerodynamics. For me, it's a nightmare. Since Misano, I've had a lot of problems. I don't know if it's because we brake later or because the braking is more demanding, but I've had a lot of trouble with the brakes. In part from, Marquez remarked that the race seemed boring due to the lack of overtaking. He attributed this to the challenges presented by aerodynamics and the design of certain tracks like Motegi, where following closely behind another rider hampers braking performance. It was boring because there was no overtaking, laughs. I love overtaking, but at a stop-and-go track like this, you lose a lot of braking performance when you're behind someone, and you don't gain anything on the exit because of the aerodynamics. You can only pass if you're 3 or 4 tenths faster. Despite the challenges, Marc Márquez remains one of MotoGP's most determined competitors, always pushing for more. With a few races remaining, can Marquez continue his podium streak, or will his focus shift to preparing for 2025? Stay tuned for more thrilling MotoGP action. Jorge Martín's MotoGP journey has been marked by success, including a Moto3 World Championship in 2018 and several MotoGP victories. He made his debut in the Premier class in 2021 with Pramac Ducati and has since become one of the top contenders in the sport. Despite dealing with a serious accident in 2021 that sidelined him for several rounds, Martín bounced back with a maiden win in Austria that year. Currently, Martín leads the 2024 championship standings by 10 points, with a consistent season that includes 3 race wins and 9 Sunday podiums. However, his road to success has not been without its challenges, as Martín recently revealed in an interview with Marca. "It's complicated. I try to focus on my feelings on the bike. Off the bike, there's a lot of noise, thoughts, and headaches, but the moment I get on the track, that pressure disappears. That's the important thing." Quote from Martín. Martín has lived with anxiety since childhood and described the nerves and discomfort that accompany him throughout his career. However, he has learned to manage these feelings and not let them affect his performance on the track. "Those nerves, that discomfort, I've had all my life, since I was little. It's something normal and will be with me all my life. It's about knowing how to live with it, making sure it doesn't take over me." Martín admitted that fighting for the championship in 2023 was not enjoyable due to the immense pressure, but this year, he feels more comfortable and has grown as a rider. He believes this experience is helping him perform better under the spotlight. According to Martín, the key to handling the stress of a race weekend is staying calm and focused. He noted that the pressure tends to build up as the race approaches, but once he's on the bike, it fades away. "When I leave the circuit, the pressure stays here. As soon as I finish the race, I'm much more relaxed. That pressure will come back on Saturday or Sunday in Australia," Martín concluded. Martín acknowledges that the pressure will always be a part of his life, but he's learning to cope with it as he aims for his first MotoGP World title in 2024. Jorge Martín's openness about his struggles with anxiety sheds light on the mental challenges faced by athletes at the highest level. Despite the pressure, Martín continues to lead the MotoGP Championship and remains focused on his goal of securing the 2024 World title. Stay tuned as the title fight intensifies in the coming races. After the main race of the Japanese Grand Prix, Francesco Bagnaia was feeling confident as he closed the gap to championship leader Jorge Martín. While in the podium room, Bagnaia humorously suggested to Martín, with Marc Márquez as a witness, that they could end up tied on points by the time they reached the final race in Valencia. "We'll arrive tied on points." Quote from Bagnaia. Martín, caught up in the moment, responded enthusiastically, saying, quote, "I'm signing now." However, during post-race interviews, when the adrenaline had subsided, Martín took back his words. "No, of course I won't sign it. But I had to tell him." With a 10-point lead heading into the next race in Australia, Martín is determined to increase his advantage and avoid a title-deciding showdown in Valencia. Banaya, who also later retracted his agreement to tie the championship standings, expressed a desire to have a more comfortable lead going into the final round. No one would like that. I'd prefer to go into the last race with a 20 or 30-point advantage in my favor. But if it comes down to Valencia, we'll know how to handle it, and it could be a great show." Quote from Banaya. Banaya's experience from last year's title fight, where he clinched the championship after a close battle with Martín, gives him confidence. He believes that if the title fight reaches Valencia, the excitement for fans will be unparalleled. When asked again during the official post-race press conference, Banaya reflected on how exciting it would be to arrive at the final race with both riders tied on points. "It would be attractive to arrive in Valencia tied and whoever wins takes the title. It's been a long time since we saw something like that. The last time was in Moto3 with Luis Salem, Alex Rins, and Maverick Vinales in 2013. Banaya highlighted how intense and competitive the current MotoGP season has been, with himself, Martín, Marc Márquez, and Enea Bastianini consistently battling at the front. The Italian rider pointed out that the top 4 riders have been making the difference in every race, often finishing far ahead of the rest of the field. We are always the 4 in front. If you look at the race, we made the difference. There were 4 seconds between us, while between Bastianini in 4th and Brad Binder in 5th, there were more than 13 seconds, Banaya added. As the 2024 MotoGP season heads into its final stretch, both Banaya and Martín are playing mind games while also giving their all on the track. Whether they arrive tied in Valencia or not, the battle for the MotoGP World Championship promises to be one of the most thrilling title fights in recent history. Stay tuned for more updates as we head to Australia next. The 2024 MotoGP season started on a high note for KTM, with Brad Binder finishing second at the season opener in Qatar. Tech 3 rookie Pedro Acosta then followed up with 2 consecutive Grand Prix podiums in Portugal and America. However, after that early success, KTM struggled to secure more GP podiums, aside from a few sprint race appearances. That all changed at the Aragon GP, where Acosta's 3rd place finish marked a turning point for the team. Pedrosa, who has been a key figure in KTM's development program, explained on the Dura La Vita podcast with Jorge Lorenzo that significant updates were necessary. In light of the evolution of the others from mid-championship, we had to intervene with radical changes to ensure that the results returned. We selected the parts that could be better, and Acosta himself, with his way of riding, was able to take advantage of it. Quote from Pedrosa. KTM's updates included a new aero package and chassis, changes that Acosta quickly adapted to and utilized to improve his performance. Despite crashing out of the lead in the Japanese GP sprint race, Pedro Acosta's performance continues to impress the paddock. The 20-year-old rookie has shown exceptional speed, even as he battles consistency. Pedrosa remarked on how Acosta is growing into a leadership role within the KTM team. He's becoming more and more a leader within the team as the season goes on. Acosta earned his first MotoGP pole position at the Japanese GP and looked set for a maiden sprint victory before his unfortunate crash. However, his talent and potential are evident, and Pedrosa believes that with more experience and further development of the bike, Acosta will be a serious contender in the future. What is he missing? We need to help him a bit with the bike, that's clear. The changes made in the summer are helping him, and he's shown it in the last races. The level of the Ducati riders is very high, so he just needs to gain a bit of experience. Next year, Acosta will step up to KTM's factory team, a move that Pedrosa sees as an important milestone in the young rider's career. With more factory support, Pedrosa expects Acosta to take another step forward and compete even more consistently at the front of the field. He surprised me in a positive way. I didn't know him very well, but I really like how he is becoming more of a leader within the team. Next year, he will be in the official team, and this will help him take a step forward, Pedrosa concluded. KTM's bold changes have paid off, with Pedro Acosta at the forefront of their resurgence. As KTM continues to refine their bike and with Acosta stepping into a more prominent role within the team, the future looks bright for the Austrian manufacturer. We'll be following this exciting development closely as the 2024 MotoGP season heads into its final races. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your MotoGP news update. See you in the next video.